Before we get started, I want to go ahead and give a couple minutes for two very special people running for office that will soon be in Raleigh and soon be in Washington, D.C. First, Jeremy Hatchen, as I already mentioned, running against Lyndon Johnson in State House District 83, is going to introduce our next congressman.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jeremy Hatchen. I'm here to introduce Mr. Thomas Mills, running for the United States Congress. But before Mr. Mills talks about what's going on in Washington and how he's going to go to Washington to help us, I want to talk to you about how I'm going to go to Raleigh to help you. Myself and our campaign believe that North Carolina is suffering from two major ailments at the moment. Our state is sick, and I'm going to go to Raleigh to make it better. Now, the first ailment I want to talk about is our public schools are being ravaged by the General Assembly and Governor Pat McCrory. It is not just the teachers, it is the students that our campaign cares about the most. Our students do not have the resources to go to college and be prepared. Our students are not learning the skills they need to graduate high school and enter the workforce right away. We are going to go to Raleigh. We're going to restructure our school system. We're going to make sure that respect is brought back to the teaching profession. And we're going to make sure that we're graduating students from North Carolina public schools that are ready to join the economy right away. We need to teach more kids masonry skills, electric skills, medical skills. If they graduate with skills, that's going to help the economy. I recently had a conversation with former Governor Jim Martin about how North Carolina used to center our focus. We had what he called the Golden Triangle. Good schools led to better jobs, which led to a better North Carolina. That used to be the rock in which we made our decisions here in this state, and we're ignoring that now. I'll make sure that we put public schools first, get those better jobs, and make sure that that leads to a better North Carolina. The second ailment I want to talk about is a virus in our state that I refer to, and everybody refers to, as HB2 virus. Now, although the contents of the bill are deplorable, what concerns me the most is how it illustrates how dysfunctional our General Assembly has gotten. An emergency session, 12 hours to go from House committee to House floor to Senate committee to Senate floor to signed by the governor is not legislating. That is shoving policy down the throat of the people of North Carolina. I will go to Raleigh and I will make sure that I work with all representatives to make sure that we do the best we can for our people. Not a small group of people, not a specific party, all people in North Carolina. So please, my name is Jeremy Hatchen. I'm running for the North Carolina House of Representatives for the 83rd District, and I would appreciate any support that you guys can give our campaign. Now I'd like to turn the mic over to Mr. Thomas Mills, who's going to go to Washington for us and help us make things right again here in North Carolina and the United States.
Thank you, Jeremy. Well, I appreciate everybody being here, and I'm so sorry that we've lost some of you folks and that you can't vote for me in November. In fact, I miss the folks most from Anson County, which basically shaped who I am, made me the person I am today. I did grow up in the 8th District. When I was growing up, Anson County was the heart of it, and Bill Hefner was my congressman. And as an adult, I worked hard to get Larry Kissel elected to Congress, and before that, I fought to keep Robin Hayes out of Congress. And today, I want to fight to give it back to Democrats because this is Democratic territory, and it needs to be in the hands of somebody who will do something for these people. I know all of this district. I know it from Fayetteville. I know it all the way up to Salisbury. I know all the small towns and all the nooks and crannies. I grew up here, and I fought for it. Over the years, I've watched it change dramatically. When I was growing up, the 8th Congressional District was a patchwork of small towns and crossroads, and they all had firm business districts that were driven by small merchants and manufacturing. Today, that world's gone. Too many of those jobs went overseas due to bad trade agreements, and nothing was given to help us recover when those jobs went away. Folks, that's wrong. That's not who we are. We need to make sure that if we're gonna make decisions that affect that many people, we need to have policies in place that make sure nobody falls too far through the cracks. And they didn't do that when they passed those bills in Washington. We're lucky because parts of our district, this new district, are recovering okay. Fayetteville's doing all right. Moore County's doing all right. Cabarrus, mainly because of its connection to Charlotte and Rowan, parts of Stanley, but too many people have lost their way of life. And it's not just jobs, it's a whole culture that's gone away. I don't have the answers to fix it all, but I know that I can go up to Washington and I can fight for people like you, and I can fight for working families to try to make it right. But I'll tell you why I got into this race. I got into it because I'm angry and I'm frustrated. I'm angry at what Republicans Raleigh have done to our state. They've made us a national laughingstock. They've made us the butt of late-night jokes, and they've made us the crazy Carolina. That's embarrassing. Shame on them. That's exactly right. But I'm frustrated because over the years, they've so gerrymandered the system that there's not a lot we can do about it. They've rigged it to make primaries the most competitive races. That means that people on the ideological spectrums are winning the races, and the people in the middle are not getting their say. It's led the gerrymandering has led to polarization, and the polarization has led to gridlock. And we got a Congress that's so dysfunctional that they can't pass a budget in the House, and they can't even approve a Supreme Court nominee. Folks, that's pathetic. That's not what Washington is, and that's not what it's supposed to be. I don't believe that we can turn it around in one election cycle, and I don't believe that one person can go to Washington and make it right. But you know what I do believe? I believe we can elect new people who have a little bit different point of view and will go up there to fight to get things done. It's time that we elect people to office who want to get things done and not people who want to go up there and be something. Our system is broken, folks, and we're not going to fix it if we sit on the sidelines. And that's why I got into this race. And the fellow I'm probably running against, I'm pulling for Tim DiNunzio. I officially say it. I endorse him. If any of y'all vote in Republicans primaries, go vote for Tim DiNunzio. But the man who's the incumbent today, he's a poster boy for what's wrong with Washington. He has made his money off the taxpayer dime his entire life. He claimed to be a small businessman, but he's never run a business. And folks, that offends me. I spent 20 years running political campaigns as a small businessman. I stopped out of frustration with Washington. But as a businessman, I had to make payroll. I had to hire employees. I had to fire employees. And in 2009, I worried about losing my house because the economy collapsed, and I laid off people with kids. So let me tell you something. When a man comes up here and says that he's a small businessman, he needs to have made the hard decisions in life. And that guy's been making his money off the taxpayer dime, working for congressmen on Capitol Hill. He gave himself the ultimate raise. He went from congressional staffer to congressman. And that's wrong. So anyhow, he campaigns on the taxpayer dime, and he's a guy that we want to send home. And you know, I won't talk a whole lot longer because I know everybody's getting tired, but I'm going to tell you this. For the next 5.5 months, I'm going to give this man a run for his money. I have started it. I got into this late. I know how to run a campaign. I've done it all my life. And somebody told me it's in my DNA. I used to tell people, I said, well, my father was a Superior Court judge, and he served in about 5 of the counties in the current district and 2 of them in the new district. and held court across the country, across the county district. My mother worked in the community college system. My uncle served in the legislature, served Anson, Richmond, and Union counties. My grandfather was appointed as postmaster in Anson County under FDR. And in 1932, my great-grandfather wouldn't let the Hoover vacuum cleaner salesman stay in his hotel. I come by my Democratic roots honestly, folks, and I'm proud of them. You know, I'm not letting up. I'm not waiting until September to start campaigning. I'm starting today, and I need all of y'all to help me. I need you to tell people about this campaign, and I need you to help me fight to take back Washington. And I'm going to tell you one more thing. We've been telling the wrong tales in this state. We keep talking about gerrymandered districts and that we can't win them. And you know what we've done? We've scared off people from running. And that's bad. Because the first year I started, I was a social worker doing neglect and abuse investigations in Cleveland County when I got into politics. And the first year I ran campaigns was in 1994. And in that year, David Price in Washington lived in a district that they used to say was mathematically impossible for a Republican to win. The Democrats had control of the House and the Senate. And there was no way it would be impossible for the Republicans to win. Well, a wave hit that year, and David Price and a whole bunch of Democratic congressmen got washed out of Washington, and the Republicans took over the North Carolina House, and the only reason they didn't take over the North Carolina Senate is because they failed to fill all the seats. If the Republicans had competed with more seats, they'd have had control of the North Carolina House and the North Carolina Senate in 1994. Folks, we're looking at a year like that right now. The Republicans in North Carolina are crashing and burning. They got a crazy man at the top of their ticket who's a little more than a con man in a reality TV show. So we need to work hard because we've got an opportunity. And if we're not prepared, we're going to miss that opportunity. So, folks, get on board and let's ride this train home. Let's take back Congress and let's take back the legislature. I thank you. I'm sorry for y'all that can't vote for me. I miss you much. But I will be everybody in this room's congressman when I go to Washington. I promise you. Thank you so much.
Good to hear from you. Again, my name is Wayne Goodwin. I'm our state insurance commissioner. It is a blessing to be here with you. Great to see so many longtime friends and folks who also were constituents of mine whenever I was in the legislature. And it's just also having been a past chairman of the 8th District, it's coming home too. So it's great to be home in so many different ways today. I know that there's so much important business that you've got to take care of at the convention, and I appreciate Mr. Chairman and others for indulging me in getting folks together and saying a few words early on, because I know, having been chair of this district and then being a county chair and so on, you got a lot of work to do, particularly with this being a presidential election year. We got to elect some delegates. We got to make sure we get our party and everybody unified and working towards victory in November. Y'all with me? Yeah. All right, now, I'll tell you this. I want to make sure that I do one important thing. Give you a shout out for my colleagues running for council of state. Now, you know all of these folks, but I want to make sure, because they're doing this for me in other districts all across North Carolina today, I want to give a shout out to the following council of state Democratic nominees. June Atkinson, our superintendent of public instruction. Walter Smith, our candidate for commissioner of agriculture. Elaine Marshall, secretary of state. Charles Meeker, our candidate for labor commissioner. Josh Stein, our candidate for attorney general. Linda Coleman, our candidate for lieutenant governor. Beth Wood, our candidate for state auditor. Dan Blue III, our candidate for treasurer. And the next governor of North Carolina, Roy Cooper. Now, I'll tell you, I'm a little biased on this, but I will tell you that those 9 folks, all of us working together, they make up the greatest slate for statewide offices that we've ever had. And we want to make sure we have that slate victorious in November because they're fighting for us. And unlike the other party that's fighting just for a couple of percentage of the population, our Democrats running statewide on the council of state, they're fighting for every North Carolinian, every one of us. Everybody in this district, doesn't matter what you earn, what you look like, where you're from, where you're going, they want to make sure that you have an opportunity to do the very best you can in the life that God has given us. So that's what our candidates are going to do. Now, I will not be able to get to hear our good friend Thomas Mills talk with us, but I'll tell you, he is a dear friend too, and I'm anxious to hear what he has to say, but I'll tell you, the very best fellow we can have out there running. He's going to do a great job. He's going to win with our help. So let's show our support for Thomas Mills here today. Now, some other folks want to make sure, I know they'll probably reference later on in the meeting today, but there's a lot of people on the ballot. And I can't make a long list of everybody, but let's make sure we don't forget our legislative nominees. We want to make sure we don't forget our judges. You know, on June 7th, we got a Democrat running for the North Carolina Supreme Court, and when we win that race, we will have a majority on the North Carolina Supreme Court. We're going to win that race, aren't we? That's Mike Morgan. Remember Mike Morgan? He's running for North Carolina Supreme Court. Now, I also want to tell you this before I give just a little shout out to exactly what's going on in the insurance commissioner's race, is to tell you why I have to slip out a little early. Now, we're all covering all the district conventions, that is, all the council of state candidates. But there's a little something going on back in Hamlet. Y'all know where Hamlet is. There you go, Richmond County. My family's having its first reunion in like 4 years, and if I don't go, my mama's going to be mad at me. So she will be. So I want to make sure I get there for the reunion, and then I have to head to Transylvania County for some political stuff going on Sunday evening and Monday. So crisscrossing the state, but I wanted to start here first with us here at our district convention. So ladies and gentlemen, in the final minutes that I have here with you, and I know many of you have heard me share thoughts on this before. I know I was very pleased to be with the Cabarrus Democrats not too many weeks ago. It's good to see y'all again. And, of course, good to see my home county, Richmond County here. Richmond County's doing great. But all of our counties represented are just a tremendous district that we have here. But I'll tell you, in this race, we've got so much going on for insurance commissioner. That I just want to remind you, because you're going to hear about all these other candidates, these wonderful candidates we've got that are running, carrying our Democratic banner to victory in November. I want to make sure that along the way that we don't forget that we are electing and hopefully re-electing a Democratic Commissioner of Insurance. And I'll tell you, I'm only the 10th Commissioner of Insurance this state has had since 1899. Think about that, 10 commissioners only since 1899. And something else I want you to think about. Every one of those 10 commissioners have been Democrats. And we're going to keep them Democrat, right? Now, the reason this race matters is this. Is that it is imperative that you have somebody in the office of insurance commissioner, like my predecessor Jim Long, who served so many years, who is fighting for all of us. You know, in this race, I have my Republican opponent is a fella. This is not negative campaign. These are facts. This is his 5th time running for Commissioner of Insurance. 5th time. And he hadn't won any one of them, and I'd love him to keep that streak going. Well, people wonder, well, if you run for the same office and continually lose, what is the deal? What is going on? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. Just take a little peek into what drives this particular gentleman. He was an insurance company lobbyist for a long time, an insurance company executive. We do not need the insurance industry running the Commissioner of Insurance office, do we? The only people who should be guiding and directing and counseling and watching out for us are the people and not the insurance industry. You need somebody like myself as our insurance commissioner. Over the last 8 years now, we have continued to have the lowest auto insurance rates in the country. Here in North Carolina. Over the last 8 years, we've arrested 1,500 people for committing insurance fraud. 850 of them have gone to jail, and more of them are on the way, Sheriff. And my team and I have saved us $2.5 billion. That's money that went back to our pockets instead of staying in the greedy corporate pockets of these out-of-state insurance companies. Do you think somebody who has worked for the insurance industry is going to fight like I have fought for you? I can't hear you. I still can't hear you. We want to make sure that a Democrat continues to hold this office because our party believes in the people. And this election is so important. So don't let me down. I know you won't, but don't let me down. I need your vote, need your help. So do the other Democrats on the Council of State. And the last thing I'll share, as I believe that my time is running nigh, is this. I know you will hear from all of us that this is the most important election in our lifetime. How many folks have ever heard that before? In any election, that this is the most important election of our lifetime. Well, we mean it this time. This is the most important election of our lifetime. There is so much at stake. Our current governor has driven this state, and the legislature too, has driven this state into the ground. You know, the good book says that there's nothing as precious as a good name. Well, our good name is tarnished. And we need somebody to break out the brasso and get the silver shine back on our name. And it will take Democrats to do that. This race is also the most important. This election is also the most important because so much hangs in the balance. Whoever the next president is, and it better be a Democrat, is going to name several new Supreme Court justices. And that's going to change this country one way or the other for the next 50 years, maybe longer. And the other things that I know you are all aware of because you are active Democrats. You are on top of these issues. I don't have to go into all of them, but I want to make sure that we all know as we gather here today and as you go back to your counties and back to your communities and back to talk to your neighbors about why you turn out on a Saturday to meet in a meeting like this, you want to tell them because this election is the most important election in our lifetime. And Lord knows, if there's anything that should drive us to the polls and get people energized, is that we cannot let Donald Trump be president of the United States. So as I close, I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for what I know will be a very active, very productive convention today. Congratulations in advance to everybody for running for various delegate positions, and I certainly wish everybody the best. But do know that as we gather here today as a family, that we stick together no matter what. Our district, our state, our nation is counting on us to get this right because this is the most important election of our lifetime. And so, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. May God continue to bless this district, whatever the district number may be in the years to come, because I hear it keeps changing. May God continue to bless this district, our state, and may God protect us from having a Donald Trump as President of the United States. Thank you so much.
While the counties are tabulating their votes, I want y'all to go ahead and hear from someone very special. As you all know, June 7th, we have a primary that a lot of people don't know about. And the guy right beside me, Mr. Mike Morgan, has the opportunity to give us a majority on the North Carolina Supreme Court, even though it shouldn't be like that. So please give him a warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and it is great to be here in the 8th Congressional District. My name is Michael Morgan. I'm a Superior Court judge. I'm elected in Wake County. Raleigh is my home, but I am running for the North Carolina State Supreme Court this year. It's a great time to be able to take back our North Carolina Supreme Court because there have been some issues with it, and I want to let you know a little bit about me as I let you know why I'm running. I have over 26 years of judicial experience on the bench, 11 current years as a Superior Court judge, 10 years as a District Court judge, and 5 years prior to those years as a State Administrative Law judge. That's 26 years altogether on the bench of our great state. That's more years than all 3 of the opponents that I have combined. That also includes the incumbent judge that's there that we need to get out of office. In addition to those years on the bench, I also professionally have been a teacher of other judges. I've been on the National Judicial College faculty for 24 years running now, teaching judges from across the country how to be better judges. I must be doing something right with those judges because they keep inviting me back. So in the courtroom and in the classroom, I'm well qualified to know what needs to be done on our highest court as I work through the ranks state administrative law judge, district court judge, superior court judge, now going up to the top with your help to be on the state Supreme Court. I'm also very active in my community, professionally as well. I do as much as I can in the community. I belong to my church, where I'm the highest ranking layperson as well as a Sunday school teacher. I speak to civic groups, I speak to youth groups. I go everywhere I'm invited. I even go places I'm not invited. Because I just think it's important to do all that we can to lift everybody up to make our society a better place. I also want you to know that when I win this seat with your help with the June 7th primary, we will flip the North Carolina Supreme Court Y'all been doing your homework. I don't even need to finish the sentence, apparently. We will flip this Supreme Court from 4-3 Republican to 4-3 Democrat. I want you to remember also some other judges that are running. They're already through to November. Vince Rozier, Abe Jones, Ricky McCoy Mitchell, and Linda Stevens. They're all running for the Court of Appeals, not against one another, so we can vote for all of them and make our North Carolina Court of Appeals stronger and better. So please remember them, but I want you to remember me. Because they're already through to November. I'm trying to get to November. But if you vote for me on June 7th, we can change this thing around. Everywhere I go, I feel it. I started this day in the 12th Congressional District up in Winston-Salem. I came on through and stopped in Jamestown for a while. But as I keep getting down, further down here, I'm feeling better and stronger all the time. Because I know that justice will prevail in this state. And when you elect me, Judge Mike Morgan, to the North Carolina Supreme Court, it'll start at the top. I'll make sure it trickles on down through all of the levels of our state courts. I feel it. We need it. Our opportunity has come. I need you. You vote for me, and I will make sure that justice reigns supreme throughout our great state. So vote for me, Judge Mike Morgan, June 7th. Thank you very much.
So without further ado, Ms. Anderson.
Thank you, Dylan. So good to be with fellow Democrats. Thank you for being here today. It would be my pleasure to represent North Carolina at the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia. I'm Carol Anderson, running as a Sanders delegate, and I ask for your vote. I live in Cabarrus County, serving on the Democratic board as the secretary. Maya Jones, our chair, has inspired us to accomplish quite a bit. We've had monthly board meetings, we've written letters, held fundraisers, precinct organizing meetings, a successful county convention, and we have worked to see that we have high-quality candidates in each election. It's our goal to see that these candidates get elected in November. As a retired teacher with independent children who are now self-sufficient, primarily, I have the time to fulfill this responsibility, and I'm wanting to be engaged in this way. Our Democratic Party has two highly qualified candidates, and I could support either, but early on in the Sanders campaign, I became a dedicated fan. I listened to his speech to Liberty University, and I was impressed by his ability to engage with people who do not share his point of view in many areas, knowing that there could be some common ground. I donated to his campaign, bought his book, and along with millions of others, I supported Bernie Sanders. I hosted a watch party at my house. I engaged with supporters in Charlotte. I attended the local rally, and I also used the Bernie dialer to contact voters from other states. He is for the common person, for justice in all its forms, and for reforming our corrupt political system with its super PACs. I support his candidacy for president, so please consider me as your Sanders delegate. Thank you very much. Vote Carol Anderson.
Good afternoon. Oh, wow. Last but not least, can we say yes? Yes. Your countenance looks a whole lot better. I bring you greetings by way of Robeson County from a small town I love very dear, Red Springs, North Carolina. I am Caroline Sumter, and I stand before you asking for your support today to be a delegate to the National Convention in July, pledging my support for what we hope will be our next president, Ms. Hillary Clinton. Just a little bit about myself. I think back and I'll say, ooh, I don't have as much age, but I am young, I am willing, and I'm ready to work. Some of the involvement, some of you may have received the little flyer. I want to give credit to that to my daughter. I'm training her up the right way. Together, we will finish what we started. My Democratic involvement, I currently serve as our precinct chair in Red Springs, North Carolina. I am the chair of the Robeson County Democratic Women, treasurer for our Robeson County Democratic Party, third vice chair, serving you here in the 8th Congressional District. And I recently was appointed mayor pro tem of the town of Red Springs. I've served on local campaigns in my community, helping both on the school board as well as statewide races. I am currently a grassroots organizer, engaging that millennial group to get out and make your voice heard. I currently serve as the political action chair for the National Pentatonic Council chapter of Lumberton, and also a SEC member. Just some things I want you to keep in mind when you're casting your vote today. Teamwork makes the dream work, and we all know about that. Work. Let's continue to move forward. Let's continue to make history. Let's let Hillary's story, let's tell her story. I need your vote, I need your support, and I ask for it humbly today to serve. All roads lead to Philadelphia in July, and I plan to be there to cast my support for Hillary Clinton. So once again, I want to thank you for your time. I thank you for your support. And once again, my name is Caroline Sumter, and I appreciate your vote.
Good afternoon. I'm Harold Robinson, a Sanders delegate. My journey began as the Youth March coordinator for the March on Washington for Peace, Jobs, and Freedom in 1963. And I've been marching ever since that time. I would have been a part of the anti-war demonstration, but the Uncle Sam had some different plans in mind. But since then, I've been actively involved in the Democratic Party. I joined the Ted Kennedy campaign, Kennedy for President, in 1979, and I served as a delegate to the 1980 Democratic Convention. As a Kennedy staffer, I chaired the 15th Congressional District in New Jersey as his campaign chairman and led the delegation to the Democratic Convention. And I've been active in the party since that time. I have been involved with the Jesse Jackson campaign. I was the deputy campaign manager for New Jersey. I was the first New Jersey delegate to the Democratic National Rainbow Coalition in Washington, D.C. I've been active in North Carolina politics since 1991, serving as vice chair, precinct chair, on and off since 2001, and currently serve as the second vice chair and precinct chair for Cabarrus County. I seek your support for delegate to the 2016 Democratic Convention in Philadelphia. Thank you so much.
All right, I'm the last guy of the day and also the last guy on your ballot. My name is Terry Werners, and I've lived in Concord in the 8th District for 14 years now with my wife, Leanne. I'm the guy who handed you this flyer. Please read it if you can, if you haven't already done so. As you can probably tell by my name, I was not born in this country, but I chose to come to the United States. Even before I finished becoming a U.S. citizen, I was already active in the Democratic Party and working to make our country stronger and safer by electing Democrats. I felt like it was a privilege to be able to work behind the scenes to help so many good people on their campaigns. You can see an extensive list of what I've done on my flyer, but I'm not going to bore you with reading it all out now. Some races we won and some races we lost, but I've always been proud of our candidates. These days there is so much negativity in our current political climate, especially and also toward people like me who were not born here. We have to rise above that. I was proud to become a U.S. citizen in August of 2008, and the very first vote I cast was for a guy with a funny name just like me, Barack Obama. I remember the hope I felt working for President Obama as a field organizer, and like so many of you, I know that knocking on all those doors and making thousands of phone calls was well worth it because he led us out of the dark days of 2008. Now we have an economy that is growing, and by giving millions more people health insurance, we've saved countless lives. One of the biggest privileges I've had was to be able to serve as a county chair and currently vice chair, organizing and giving training to volunteers, leading the effort in precinct organizing and get out the vote efforts. I was proud to work alongside so many of you towards our victory. I'm also honored to have folks supporting me like our former Congressman Larry Kissel, State Representative Greg Meyer, who was the first one to introduce a bill to repeal HB 2, also Mecklenburg County Commissioner Pat Cotham, as well as the current chair of the Cabarrus County Democratic Party and the 4 former chairs of the Cabarrus County Democratic Party. I'm proud to call all of them my friends. I have yet another honor, though, and that is that I get under our current governor's skin. One of the jobs I've done for the Democratic Party is being a tracker. That's the guy who shows up with a camera whenever the Republican opponent speaks in public, and I try to catch him saying something stupid. Something that was relatively easy when it came to Pat McCrory. But one-term Pat, as I call him, really didn't like me and got really paranoid whenever I showed up. He started calling me out by name. He always tried to turn his audience of Tea Partiers against me. And let me tell you, it's a little bit scary when you have 1,000 people all of a sudden turning towards you and you're standing in the back of the room. Sometimes they tried to force me out and prevent me from coming in. Pat tried to make my work impossible and tried to make me feel miserable. But he didn't get to me because I was proud to be serving the Democratic Party. So fellow Democrats, you have an opportunity to send a hardworking immigrant to Philadelphia, which would make Donald Trump very uncomfortable, since the only immigrants he seems to like are models and beauty pageant contestants, and that's definitely not me. If that isn't enough reason to vote for me, imagine our governor's face when he sees me again after a couple of years, but this time on TV attending the national convention. You can make that happen. Seriously though, I feel so fortunate to be a North Carolina Democrat, and I know that I can represent you well in Philadelphia. Please send me to Philadelphia, and I will make you proud and come back ready to elect our next President Clinton and soon-to-be Governor Roy Cooper. I hope I can count on your vote. Thank you very much.